Question is, I'm holding off on pursuing a relationship and dating until all of that stuff gets into place. And is that crazy? Is that because I don't want to be alone. I'm not enjoying being alone.
There's something to be said for wanting to be stable in your vibration so that the person you attract is also stable in their vibration.
Exactly.
And so, no, that's not crazy. But to proclaim yourself as broken and not ready doesn't make you readier. So words like, I'm getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. I'm getting ready to be ready. And I'm having a really good time. We'll just put it to you this way. You can hear this, believe this, take this to the bank. So much of the expansion that is before you will take place within a relationship. So don't try to get it all done first, because the best relationship is with someone who also wants it, who isn't there either, who's on the way to it too. How much fun you have in your evolution together. But if you feel insignificant and you want to attract someone already enlightened, then you don't do it. And then you worry that you're not enlightened enough. You're enlightened enough. You're successful enough. You understand it all. And so attracting someone just like you could be a really lovely thing, because this person who is just like you, who like you understands that life is continuing and that there's more to be experienced, and that the discovery of the new and the moving toward it is what the best of life is. So many people think, and you slipped into that just for a moment here, that I got to get it all manifested and then I'll bring someone in to enjoy my manifestations. No, you want a creator to join you, not a creation looker-atter.
But it would stand to reason that, I know the women that I've gone out with are in the same place as I am. And I have initially thought that was a great thing. A lot of them don't think so. I get the sense that they want me to be more, they want more. So they're not the match. But then why did I get in front of them if they're not the match?
Because you're a match, and it helps you to know something more, and that's just fine. But don't make everything that's coming be like what has already come, because it won't be. It'll all be different. So just enjoy the differences. Just enjoy the evolution that these last relationships have allowed you, because they've put clarity in you. They've put more into your vortex. And the more you align with what's there, you see, there's enough in your vortex to keep you happy for 20 or 30 years. But it's vibrational. And so what you want to do is enjoy the discovery of these vibrations turning into things. That's what life is. When a vibration of confidence and a vibration of worthiness and a vibration of love manifests, it comes out in words like, oh, life is so good, and isn't this a beautiful day, and you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do this. It's all there. Let it manifest in those ways. It will. It can't not, you see. Mostly what everybody needs to do is just stop worrying about it and trust the vortex. But you got to get in the vicinity of the vortex and start getting whiffs of the vortex. You know, we could talk all day, every day, and we just about do, about how this all works. And we can encourage all day, every day, and we just about do, how significant and valuable the meditation process is in the allowing of the rising of your vibration. But until you sit and focus and feel the detachment, these are just words that don't mean anything to you. But when you've focused on something and you've felt yourself go into that sort of detached state, then this was a meaningful conversation that we had. But until then, it isn't. And then as you're coming out of meditation, because the meditation allowed you connection to your vortex, and you're in the receptive mode where now what's in your vortex can flow easily into your mind. Until that has happened to you and you've had the idea of wanting to play with your music system, then these are just words that don't mean anything to you. Or until you've had a sensation so illogical and yet so powerful that you want to move all your furniture around in your perfect house, then these are just words. But Esther had come to know the value of following those kinds of impulses because she gets us. So when these thoughts that don't mean that much to you because they're kind of random, but here's the key, they feel compelling to you. It feels like something you want to do. In fact, it feels so compelling to you, it doesn't feel like you can do anything else right now except that. And then you get to witness the playing out of it, until you're actually standing in the middle of something so meaningful to you and you realize, oh my, that's how I got here. Well, humans want the whole road map. You want all the details. Jerry used to laugh at Esther because before the navigational systems, she would ask him to look at the map and tell her where she was going. She was doing all the driving. And he'd say, you're going to do this. And she'd say, and then what? And he'd say, well, then we're going to do this. And she'd say, and then what? And he'd say, you're not going to remember this. Let me just give you turn by turn. No, I need a big picture. I want the big picture. And of course you want the big picture, but you also want turn by turn, because you don't need to hold all of those unnecessary details in your mind. You see what we're getting at? Your inner being will give you turn by turn. You'll get impulse by impulse by impulse by impulse. The key for you, all you have to know is that, hey, this feels good. And most of all, know where it came from. This is the thing that you're helping us to say, such an important thing to say. In every awake moment, you are in a receiving mode of something. The question is, what are you in the receiving mode of? Are you in the receiving mode of CNN? Are you in the receiving mode of your not successful thoughts? Are you in the receiving mode of successful thought? Are you in the receiving mode of your inner being who knows everything you want, who knows where everything is in relationship to where you are, who knows the path of least resistance, where your resistance is and what path will lead you around and over and under and through it to get you to where you want to be?
And to be in the receiving mode, I mean, to know when you're in the receiving mode. We can't be in the receiving mode all day.
You are in the receiving mode all day. You're in the receiving mode all day of something. The question is, I'm frustrated. Well, that receiving mode is about worrisome things.
That's a mood.
Your mood. Yeah. Your mood indicates what receptive mode you're in. When you feel exhilaration, when you feel eagerness, when you feel interest, when you feel happy. Our favorite word is satisfied. Satisfied. Oh, that was nice. Esther laughs every day at the things that are so satisfying that if anybody knew how much satisfaction she was getting out of it, they would be sure she was crazy. But it's satisfying because it's lining up. Things that most people wouldn't even notice are satisfying. The universe is just knocking itself out. Things that many people call dumb things, where the universe is just showing you and showing you and showing you. We're watching, we're listening, we're aware, here's how. We're watching, we're listening, we're aware, here's how. Esther was looking for something in her cabinet over her washer. And when she opened the door, it wasn't there. And her friend was standing there and said, what are those things up there on the top? And Esther said, what things? Oh, those are UFOs. A friend gave them to Jerry and I years ago, and we just put them there because we didn't have time to play with them then, and then I forgot that they were there. So she took them down and said to her friend, do you want to drop them by that place on the way where we can give things to people who want things that we don't want? And she said yes. So they're sitting on the table and they're looking at them, and then Esther gets a text, and it's from another friend who had bought some contraption and was sending her a picture of it. And Esther said, what is that? And her friend said, UFO. Well, it wasn't a UFO, it was a musical instrument. And Esther said, the universe thinks it's so funny. And is things on the shelf that had been there for 8 years that Esther didn't even know they were there. Her attention was called to them because she was looking for something else. She got them down and in that moment received a text from someone who's talking about a UFO. Now, you can call that a coincidence. We call it your inner being lining things up. We call it universal forces knowing what's active within you. We call it realization of what you've got flowing. We call it receptive mode. Receptive mode of highest vibration. And so all day, every day, those kinds of things are happening, aren't they? But don't you have all of these things happening that you've been calling coincidences for a long time? It's time to start acknowledging the hands in the game that your inner being has on your behalf. It's time to begin realizing that you're not going it alone. You're not proving your worthiness to anyone. You are a cooperative component to your own creation, as is your inner being. And when you relax and allow more of that, then satisfaction, 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 satisfaction. Esther is walking with her music in her ear. She had on all black. She said, I look just like the iPod commercial. She didn't mean to, but she was laughing at herself, and she's sort of dancing around the loop that she likes to walk. And she came around a corner, and there was a man walking a dog, and the man was wanting to jog, so they were jogging out ahead of her, and Esther has noticed them while she's walking behind them, and then the dog stopped and waited for Esther. And the man did not want to wait for Esther. He wanted to keep jogging. The dog would not move because the dog liked the way Esther felt. And so Esther got up alongside of them, and then the dog looked at Esther, and Esther looked at the dog, and Esther looked at the man, and the man looked away. And then Esther began walking, and the dog began walking, and then the man started to jog, and the dog wouldn't jog. And the only thing that saved him is it was time for Esther to turn off to her house, or they'd probably still be standing in the street, because the dog liked the way, liked the influence of happy that Esther was feeling, blissed out in the moment, in every possible way. That's your natural state of being. That's who you are. That's how you're supposed to feel. That's who your inner being is. That's who your inner being knows you to be. That's what your inner being is always promoting, you see. And anything less than interest or eagerness or love or fun, anything less than that is you off your beam a little bit. Yes?
So happy all the time, connected to inner being.
Happy enough of the time that you know when you're not. And when you're not wanting to be there, and not meaning off the wall, bouncing with enthusiasm, trying to get everybody's attention about your happiness. Satisfaction, just satisfied in this moment. So satisfied to be alive here, now in this body. So satisfied with this body and the way it moves and how it feels, and this air and how it breathes through you, and this sky and how it looks, and these neighbors and this street, and when you get into that mode, then your ability to see beyond anything that you've ever seen before just becomes greater and greater and greater. Your attention to detail, the satisfaction in any moment, your ability to consume and devour the perfection of this life out here on this leading edge in your constant evolution of more. That's what this is all about. You're not proving any worthiness. You're not proving anything to anybody. You're just being the brilliant, beautiful being that you are, and letting the universe emphasize that to you in every possible moment.